A Scary Home Companion is sponsored by Totally Tidy LLC. A female-owned business, Totally Tidy specializes in cleaning homes above the industry standard. They are raising the bar. Get clean with Totally Tidy. Currently looking for employees in southern Indiana. If you are in the area of Evansville and Newburgh, contact Totally Tidy today. TOT-tidy@hotmail.com and on Facebook as Totally Tidy LLC. As he finished packing his essential gear into a duffel bag, Manny Cortez drained a breakfast beer. "Yo, it's time to hit the road, brother. Let's go," he said to the listless shape laying on the bed. "Hey, man, you were healed up enough to help us bring back the flayed lady. That means you're healed up enough for this." The lump under the sheet said nothing. "Come on, a little vacation's good for the spirit, bro. Jack and Sadie just took a few personal days." "Did you hear they took those personal days together?" I don't mean to tell tales out of school, but that's the chatter about little sister." The lump under the sheet rolled over, but said nothing. Manny cracked a second breakfast beer. It was vacation, after all. "Gunny, if I'm being honest, man, you still had a little ring rust out there. And this trip, this is as much for you as it is for me. You need to get back to basics. In the forest, man. The thrill of the hunt." Oregon Cray sighed. Dude, hear me out. It's not just any hunt. I had Lila's tech geeks get the hottest and freshest intel. Wild hog sightings. I got maps. I got the truck fueled up and packed. All you gotta do, the only thing you gotta do, is roll your boo-hooing ass out of the sack and get in shotgun. He polished off the beer. Being callous was not in Manny's nature, especially when it came to his best friend, Oregon Cray. But, like the dumbass song says, you gotta be cruel to be kind. The gunshot wound in Cray's chest was healed. The jagged cut across his face was scarred over. His heart was still broken from the betrayal by his baby cousin Tanis, but that was something that might not never come back together. It wasn't a good reason to let life keep slipping away. That's how Manny saw it. "Listen, Gunny, Thanksgiving is in 2 weeks, and I know what I want to have to eat this year. The most dangerous game." "Man?" Cray asked. "What?" "Man. The most dangerous game is man." Oregon kicked the sheet off. "It's the whole basis for the Gunny Men. You remember them?" "Yeah. Rich baghead dudes like clan adjacent, right?" "Sure. But no, it's not that. The most dangerous game isn't man. And it isn't a shark. It isn't even a giant squid with chainsaw arms. It's the legendary, notorious man-eating pigs of Short Nap, Georgia. Brother, you and me are going to hunt a Montcrief hog. Drinking whiskey in the kitchen and telling scary stories around the fire. Music, monsters, and mayhem. Killers, cannibals, and cults. Fearful fiction and furious fact. Tall tales and terrifying truths. This is a Scary Home Companion. The history behind the legendary Montcrief hogs is steeped in myth and hearsay. The Montcrief family had been hog farmers out of Short Nap, Georgia for generations. Then young Obadiah came along. Obi was either the third, fourth, or fifth generation of Montcrief hog farmer. It was hard to say with how twisted their family tree was. Young Obi loved those hogs. When it came time for slaughter, he slaughtered his family instead and fed them to the hogs, as well as the choicest cuts for himself. Over the next 30 years, Obadiah hunted hobos to keep his beloved hogs well fed. When Obi got put away, the hogs ran loose into the woods of Georgia. They are bigger, stronger, smarter, and meaner than any other hog in the world. And they have a taste for human flesh. Montcrief hogs are apex predators, so dangerous and invasive that the Georgia Department of Agriculture has permanently waived all hunting sanctions against them. No matter where you are or what time of year it is, if you see a Montcrief hog, you can try and kill it. But God help you if you fail. Beneath all the conjecture and rumor, one detail has remained ironclad, resolute, and universally agreed upon. Montcrief hogs yield the best pork known to man. Now, you may or may not remember this, but Manny Cortez is a big-time Thanksgiving guy. Manny loves that shit. He lives for that shit. He longs to make that shit special every single year. This year, he had a bigger circle of familia than he was used to having, and he felt that serving up such an exotic roast would be a fine way to commemorate the holiday. And if he was really being honest, he was in dire need of a little R&R. Manny didn't ask for a lot out of life, especially when his job was so rewarding and he had constant and ready access to drinks, sports, and escorts. But escaping the stress of the war against evil and getting lost in the solitude of nature for a few days, that was something he knew would recharge his batteries. A hunting trip would be therapeutic for Oregon, but it would be equally recuperative for Manny. He needed a hunt. A real, no bullshit hunt. Killing something you don't eat, killing it just to kill it, there's no honor in that. Real men don't kill animals for sport. But hunting and killing your own food is one of humanity's oldest traditions. Choosing to hunt dangerous prey on somewhat equal terms, That's how Manny liked to do it. Although he was not shy about killing, he would never kill without a good reason. When it came to the cultists, rapists, murderers, and various other sacks of shit that he dealt with at work on a day-to-day basis, he had good reason by the bushel. But animals, amigo, that's different, he said to Oregon. You gotta be more respectful with animals, right? You're native, you know what I mean. Manny had an inner dialogue that spilled over into the car quite often. Oregon didn't talk much, but that was okay, because Manny was so skilled in the art of conversation that he could hold up both ends at once and never run out of breath. They drove for 7 hours plus, up I-95 along the Florida coast into Georgia, and then slightly inland towards Short Nap. Manny talked for most of the time, depending on what he could find on the radio. They never actually drove through the town of Short Nap. Instead, they skirted it, driving past the old Montcrief farmland and then up into the foothills. When they were within a mile of the area with the most recent batch of hog sightings, Manny parked. They unloaded their gear and then covered the truck up with a camo net. Can you carry all that? Cray laughed at his partner. While Oregon was carrying a small satchel over one shoulder, Manny was loaded down with a heavy duffel, a bagged tent, a full cooler, and a very realistic-looking fake body. No, I can get it. It's not far. Just keep your eyes open for a good trap spot. Something wide. Vantage points. Someplace we can set up. I thought you had this all planned out, Cray chided him. You can carry some shit, or you can open your eyes and find a trap spot. Cray pointed at him. You said all I had to do was get my boo-hooing ass out of bed. Manny rolled his eyes. Oh, okay. That's fair. It's dickish, but fair. Manny led the way. Do you want me to carry you on my back too, Pendejo? They hiked through the woods, silent now, listening to the forest around them, taking it all in. It took them about an hour before they found just the right spot. A clearing with one easy way in and out. Heavy tree cover all around the outskirts, 30 feet wide, set at the base of a snapped-off red cedar tree. Manny started to set up a tent near the base of the tree. Since when do you use a tent? Cray asked. It's not for me. It's for the decoy. You mean this guy here? Cray lifted the head of the lightweight polymer body. It had an open spot on the top of the head and another in the middle of the abdomen, so that it could be easily loaded with hog chum. These hogs hunt people, bro, and they're smart. They're crazy smart. That's what everybody says. If you just lay some meat on the ground, they don't give a shit. You have to make it interesting. You have to make it real. Manny laid out the body inside the tent. In the cooler were several bags of hog chum, blood, meat, and guts, stuffed into Ziploc bags. He opened them up and stuffed them inside the fake corpse. There's even a heating element in the torso, bro. It keeps everything at perfect human body temperature. At the bottom of the cooler were 18 cans of beer, packed in dry ice. Manny popped one open and took a big swig before reaching into his bag and taking out his hunting rifle. It was a single-barrel, breech-loaded shotgun, one bullet at a time, and he only brought one box of shells. I'm keeping it old school, making it challenging, you know? Cray opened his bag and took out his hunting weapon of choice. Oh, you're making it challenging, are you? He smirked and held up a 10-inch hunting knife. Bro, are you serious right now? You're hunting a Montcrief hog with a knife? Cray slid it into his belt and then helped himself to a beer. He didn't look miserable anymore. At least, not for the moment. And for Manny, that made the whole trip worth it already. That's what he thought at the time. When the sun set soon after, the two men clambered up different trees to wait. Oregon sat 16 feet off the ground in the crook of a sturdy limb, his legs dangling. Manny laid down halfway up that felled red cedar tree, flat on his back, his head on his duffel like a pillow, and he sipped beers. With their respective heights off the ground, the two men were only about 20 feet apart. Cray had the misfortune of being downwind. Is your smell intentional? Is that part of the lure? Cray asked. Absolutely, bro. That dummy smells like meat and blood, but me? I smell alive. I smell like prime rib alpha stud. I'm oozing machismo, bro. I'm gonna douse this whole clearing with man musk. We'll be lucky if it doesn't bring in the whole mess of them. He tossed Cray a beer and they drank in silence. An hour later, they heard noise in the trees. The footfalls were slow and heavy, but cautious. Something was creeping up on the clearing. Manny pulled out his gun and checked the bullet in the breech. A Montcrief hog sauntered into the moonlight. It was a picture of porcine perfection, even bigger than Manny had expected. Easily 5 feet tall at the shoulder, mottled gray and maroon in the moonlight. Couldn't have possibly weighed any less than 400 pounds. Its snout, jowls, and upper chest were all riddled with scar tissue from scratches and bites. It looked right at Manny, sitting on that knocked-over red cedar, and then ignored him to investigate the tent. The hog stuck its head inside the tent, snorted and snuffled, and then backed out, unsatisfied with what it had found. Manny was now in a crouch, a shooting stance, looking down the barrel and waiting for the hog to turn its head just so and expose the side of its neck. It didn't take but a few moments, and then boom, the hammer dropped on a perfect shot. The bullet plunged into the side of the hog's muscular neck. to zero effect. The hog snorted, it stomped the ground and snorted again, moving from side to side with its eyes locked on Manny like it was challenging him to a fight. He dumped the spent shell and reloaded, and then drew aim, hunting for a weaker spot. That's when Cray dropped out of the tree. He landed on the back of the beast like a bronco buster and plunged his hunting knife into its back. He pulled the knife free. The blade had penetrated only an inch into the hog before stopping dead. This was a blade that Cray had used to cut through muscle and bone time and again, but not Montcrief muscle, not Montcrief bone. Cray stabbed twice more in rapid succession, but the blade simply would not plunge any deeper. The hog flipped onto its side and rolled over, trying to crush him. Cray rolled away and then crawled behind a tree. In that instant, when the hog was on its back, belly exposed to the moon, Manny targeted the soft tissue at the top of its rear leg. The smooth, hairless inner thigh right near the groin, where there should be the least natural protection. He dropped the hammer on a perfect shot. The hog shrieked. It bucked and then rolled back up onto its feet, favoring the back leg. Blood poured from its belly. It staggered, but then found its footing and trotted into the darkness. Manny reloaded. Maybe I was a little overconfident in just bringing a knife, Cray said. Yeah? You think? They grabbed their bags, left the lure to clean up later, and set into the trees to track the bleeding, wounded Montcrief hog. They whispered back and forth, absolutely dazzled by the size and toughness of the animal. I mean, I heard they were strong, but Jesus, this thing is a monster. Did you see how it looked right at me when it first came in? Cray nodded. Yeah, he saw you. He saw the gun. He just didn't give a shit. These things were supposed to be smarter than dolphins, bro. You think it recognized the gun? You think maybe it knew that it wasn't big enough to hurt it? Maybe. Might not have even registered as a gun at all, as small as it is. Hey, motherfucker, pop gun beats a toothpick 10 times out of 10. They went over a rise and into a shallow, narrow valley, and then over a larger rise. The thicket was thicker out here, the moon all but blotted from the sky. Manny followed the blood trail. Cray touched his shoulder. He stopped. Ahead of them, up in the trees, came a voice. Hello, hello. No friendly fire needed. Just a fellow hunter letting you know I'm here. They saw a youngish-looking man up in a deer stand about 15 feet off the ground. He was holding what looked to be an AR-15 with a laser scope. Evening, gents, the kid said. He tipped his camo hat. Are you the ones that shot that biggin? That's us, Manny said. He waved with his gun. Did you see it come through? No, but I heard it. Off over there, going into the next valley. Sounded pretty hurt. I'd be careful, though. They're smart. They can trick you. I appreciate that. And hey, man, that's good hunting etiquette. Letting it pass like that. That wasn't your kill, and you knew that. A lot of young'uns, they don't understand. kid shrugged. I'm not here for that. I'm looking for one in particular. Cray wanted to move on, but Manny couldn't. He was too curious. Hold on, bro. Hey, kid. Let's hear it. Why? 8 years ago, my pa and I came here hunting. He heard the stories about the hogs, but he didn't believe them. Probably a lot like you fellers. We came out here and they got the drop on us. Boy, howdy, they got the drop on us. Pa put a double barrel in its eye socket and pulled both triggers. Yes, sir. Point blank. Blew half of its face off its skull. And then it still tore his belly open with its mouth. Killed my pa dead out of pure spite. Then it ran off. I've been tracking it ever since I was old enough to come back here. Damn, Manny said. And you're sure it's still here? Yeah, I am sure. I'm sure it's waiting here for me. Somewhere out there. Bro, I don't know how to say this, but you can't take revenge on an animal. That was the whole point of Jaws, I think. Was it Jaws? Moby Dick, Cray said. Moby Dick? The Vanessa Del Rio movie? Never mind. Manny waved his gun at the kid in the tree. Hey, good luck, man. I hope you find it. And they kept on, following the trail of fresh blood droplets. For 3/4 of a mile, they stepped lively, communicating with hand gestures and finishing the last 4 beers. The tree line broke south to their left, and they caught sight of an old abandoned railroad switchyard in the distance. For years, that place had been a haven for hobos and rail riders passing through. It had also been the hunting ground for Obadiah Montcrief, and later, his wild hogs. You think it would go back to familiar ground? Manny asked. Cray crouched down to examine the blood trail. I don't think so, he said, and pointed to another part of the tree line. It might have been trying to lose us. Why don't we just ask that guy? 100 yards away, a man was standing in front of his humble house. It wasn't much of a house, more a collection of tents and boards that had been cobbled together into a structure the size of a small shed. It wasn't much of a man, either. He was old, bald, and weighed 90 pounds, wet with bricks in his pockets. But he didn't have pockets. He was wearing tighty-whities that were neither tighty nor whitey, and an oversized t-shirt declaring World Series champions that had never been. He held a gnarled, bumpy stick in his gnarled, bumpy hand. Evening, mister, Manny said with all due southern cordiality. You see a bloody hog wander by here? Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Who's you asking? My name's Manny. Manny. It's a funny name. I'm going to tell my dear sweet mommy you said that. What's your name? Knackers. Well, I'd say there ain't much room for you to talk there, Knackers. The old man frowned a toothless frown. This is my yard, And you boys is on it. Now state your business or get to steppin'. Already did, Manny said. That hog. You seen him? Reckon I have. Reckon I ain't telling you where he went, though. It's a trap, you see. Them hogs is smart. They trick you, gobble you up. Seen it time and again. Thanks anyway, knackers. Cray had the trail. He knew where to go. They didn't need any info from the crazy old man. Manny just liked talking to new people. They kept walking, but Manny was compelled to turn back. Hey, knackers, I gotta ask. These hogs are so dangerous. How do you live here? Doesn't seem like your house would be able to keep 'em out. Oh, hell. Them hogs don't want me. I got the cancer. Lousy with it, see? They don't touch diseased meat. They can smell it. They moved more slowly now. The blood droplets on the ground were thicker, fatter, closer together. The beast was slowing down and seemed to be weaving back and forth as it walked. Cortez and Cray entered a small stand of trees on a gentle downward slope that led to the muddy banks of what used to be a creek. In one of the little slats of moonlight that snuck in between the canopy branches, they saw the injured hog laying on the bank. It was alive, but listless. There was no need for quiet footfalls now. The massive hog was staring right at them, aware of their presence, but too weak and tired to do anything about it. It simply watched them come, resigned to its fate. Hold tight, buddy. It'll all be over soon, Manny said, low and slow, as he calmly approached the fallen hog. We don't want you to suffer anymore. We're all on the same team. He sat down his bag and brought the gun to bear. Manny, Cray said softly. Manny looked to his partner and did not like the look on his face. He followed Cray's gaze and saw another hog hiding in the bush 100 feet away. Uh-oh, Manny said, when he heard a twig snap behind him. He turned in a slow circle, making a quick head count of all the Montcrief hogs that were looking back at him. At least 14 of them. None of them moving, which meant they had all been there, laying in wait. They had watched the two men enter the killing ground, this gentle slope that led towards a sticky, muddy pit. The perfect spot for an ambush. Well, I'll be dipped, Manny said, and he had to laugh. The wounded hog got to its feet right in front of them, dripping blood, but not nearly as injured as it had been letting on. Cortez and Cray went back to back, not for the first time. Oregon had his blade. Manny had a single bullet in his gun. The hogs began to edge closer, coming in from all directions at once. Coordinated predation beyond what either man had ever seen in the wild before. You got any ideas? Cray asked. Yeah, one. You're gonna give me shit about it, though. He knelt down and reached his free hand into his duffel. He came out with a Desert Eagle, .45 caliber, extended clip. You fucking cheater, Cray said. See, I knew it. Manny dropped the rifle. This one wasn't for the hunt. It was a just-in-case gun. Don't furrow your brow at me. I don't like walking around naked. Cray shook his head. Okay then, Mr. High and Mighty. I guess you don't want the other one. Cray tucked his knife into his boot. Okay then. Hollow points. These boys are gonna feel them for sure. Yeah, but we can't kill them all. I don't want to. I only want to kill the one. That son of a bitch that set us up. If we just wound a couple of the others, they'll cut and run, I guarantee it. They ain't used to anything that can hurt them. And this is gonna hurt. To his left, Manny saw another hog emerge, larger than the others, with a long white beard on its chinny chin, missing one eye and half of its face. But not that one, though, he said, pointing it out. That one's for the kid. Cray nodded. You ready? Bro, I'm so ready. And they both opened fire, keeping their backs together, spinning slow left. God damn, Manny shouted. I love hunting. Thank you for listening to another episode of A Scary Home Companion. If you'd like to learn more about the Montcrief hogs, listen to the episode Stranger Than Fiction. For more about the adventures of Cortez and Cray, well, you'll have to listen to a bunch of episodes because these guys get around. You can find the show on social media. Or on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can contact the show directly at ascaryhomecompanion@gmail.com. Check out our YouTube channel for most of the episodes complete with script videos. If you want the best possible Scary Home Companion experience, I encourage you to visit our Patreon page. Bonuses and extras with an exclusive episode just for patrons every single month. You're not going to get the whole story unless you have the Patreon. You can also use Patreon to sponsor the show, as with Totally Tidy LLC. The episode was edited and produced by Jeff Davidson and featured the music Buttery Hog Mosh by We're Late for Class, The Hunt by Comfort Fit, Filth Pig by Batillus, Green Pig by Soft and Furious, and Chelsea Oxendine with the theme music.